The information that I provided to the council was a series of emails between the city manager, the city secretary, the mayor, and myself that I instigated on December the 20th, in which I said I understand that municipal liens are being released for less than full consideration. I could not find any ordinance about releasing municipal liens, and I suggested that an agenda item be included at the next regularly scheduled meeting to address the issue of releasing municipal liens and releasing them for less than full value, how many we had out there, and asked that Alan be prepared to do that. Now, I'm entitled to do that as a city council person under the Code of Conduct, paragraph 3.2, which says so long as I put it in writing and it's not a redundant request, the secretary must include that on the agenda. So when I got my agenda packet, which I actually did not get until Monday, I was shocked and surprised that my request was ignored. Not really surprised, because several times in the last almost 2 years I've made written requests for items to be included on the agenda, and they have not been included on the agenda. So one more time, an essential item, I felt that was an essential item, was not included on the agenda. And the reason why the issue of municipal leases is important is, as we've stated in the last several city council meetings, we're in a financial crisis. And releasing valid liens for less than full consideration to who knows who is not in the best interest of the city on any level, especially when we're experiencing this and we're raising water rates to pay for issues that we can collect revenues from other sources to address.
Is it because the buyer and the seller was anonymous? Is that what led you to believe that Mayor Keefer owned that property?
Well, throughout the email process, which I'm happy to give you a copy of, the buyer and the sellers were not disclosed, and indeed the piece of real estate at issue was not disclosed. But when I got my packet on Monday, there was a memorandum put together by the mayor. Attached to it was a gift deed and a lien signed by Elizabeth Nelson for $1,000 on Lot B. And I believe Elizabeth Nelson would not have signed a lien had it been invalid or in any way illegal or not appropriate. So that bothered me, that there was a lien on it. And he referred to buyer, seller, buyer, seller. Part of the gift deed address was 1102. He talked about property at 1106. 1102 is the real estate owned by the mayor's corporation, or the mayor, I can't remember which, and I have it right here, all the Falls CAD stuff, but in which he has a beneficial interest. I looked at the lien, saw that Mayor Nelson had a valid description on the lien of 0.172 acres. Well, that's hardly enough real estate to build a house on. So the next question is, when you're looking at the real estate generally, or that block, if somebody's going to build a $500,000 business and they don't have enough room to even put a house on it, where are they going to put the business? So, of course, the logical conclusion is he's building a structure that will be on both pieces of real estate, one of which was owned by the mayor. And he admitted, he unabashedly and unashamedly admitted it in his interview yesterday, that he'd stood to a financial gain on that piece of real estate that he owns. The other little interesting thing is on 1106, it's in Falls CAD too. They're heirs. They know who the people are, but those names were not disclosed. And, we are a city council of transparency, and at least some of us try to be. And when you have a transaction that's for the benefit of the city, or you want to ask the city to give up something, we've got to know who we're giving it up to and why, and all the other details of the transaction. It's only fair to the citizens. It was just questionable how he wrote the memorandum. Buyer, seller, he had information, this, that, and the other. He'd been working on it for 4 months. So this wasn't just some stranger, and he was a citizen. So this wasn't just some stranger that came up and said, I'm interested in doing this real estate transaction. Can you knock the lien off? And why would a citizen feel comfortable enough to approach a mayor who does not have authority to release liens to ask for his assistance in getting a lien released. The whole thing just did not sound right. And that was in the memorandum provided by the mayor to the city council. The appropriate way is to approach the city council. You want the lien released, it should go in front of the city council. Although, to be fair, there's no ordinance or policy out there suggesting that. But without such an ordinance or policy, as I asked that they include on the agenda, I guess everybody's been doing things on the side. As far as I know, this is the first release of municipal lien I've ever been made aware of. I don't know that any more have, but I don't know that they haven't happened. This was the first I became aware of. And during my tenure, if I had known that municipal liens were being released, as I said in my email wanting to put it on the agenda, I would stop it. We need the money. We need money to fix that pothole in front of our houses, I absolutely do not believe it was an illegal lien. It was signed by Mayor Nelson. It's included in the packet. Sadly, I didn't bring my packet with me, but it's signed by Mayor Nelson. I don't believe Mayor Nelson would have signed such a document if she didn't believe it was true. And she certainly had authority to put the lien on it. I don't know why it would be an illegal lien, and he has no explanation for it. He's not a lawyer. He said that he talked to Michael Dixon, our city attorney. I immediately before the meeting, or at 3 o'clock before the meeting, sent a text to Michael Dixon asking him if he'd confirm his statement. Michael Dixon sadly only works for the mayor, it appears, because he never responds to my questions, which is a valid question. If there is a legal opinion out there, the council's entitled to see that legal opinion and to hear it from the city attorney himself, and or if the city attorney wants to give it to the manager and then let the manager distribute to us. I mean, we don't have to believe people on faith, because I wanted to know what information he was given, and it could be that he was not given a full packet of information. But I don't know if the lien's valid or not. I would think not, because Mayor Nelson signed it. And I would like to believe that she has always acted in everybody's best interest, and that the work that was claimed to be performed on that piece of real estate was performed, and I have no reason to doubt that it wasn't performed. Part of the confusion was created by the mayor's memorandum, his supporting documentation to that memorandum. As I indicated before, Mayor Nelson's lien said Lot B, and then there was a deed attached that went to the property located at 1102. So it was confusing in the first place and unambiguous. He did say Lot 1106 in the write-up, but his write-up was not the most artfully crafted write-up, and it was unambiguous. I mean, it was ambiguous. And with regard to people, he named no names. He talked about a widow. Well, when you looked up 1106 in the Falls CAD, there was a widow, I guess, but now it belongs to other people, heirs of that widow, and the names are easily determined. So the fact that he kind of made some spurious comments himself, and he's right. Sandra took 5 minutes and found 1106 on the Falls CAD, and he's right. It doesn't matter. In any event, what he was trying to do was to get a financial gain at the cost of the city. Because, as I said before, the 0.172 that's on the Lot B is not a sufficient amount of real estate to build a commercial enterprise on. So it was necessary that Lot A go with Lot B. And he owns Lot A, and he readily admits he was going to get a financial gain. Well, why didn't he just disclose that? I mean, this is transparency. It's easy. Say so.
So for those who might say, why let $1,000 lien get in the way of a potential business coming here that could provide tax dollars or water sales to the city of Marlin? Why let something that petty get in the way of that?
Well, anybody who invests, any legitimate person who invests in a legitimate and viable business knows that there's certain costs that go along with your investment. And we know that because we have a business downtown. Marlin. And part of that is there are liens that accrue and there are taxes and things that, and when you buy real estate that has outstanding issues like this, you try to resolve them ahead of time. But you don't do it at the expense of our taxpayer. You know, our people are important to me. I go the long way to make sure that things happen as correctly as I can make sure they happen within the realm of my ability. I love this town. I'm here to stay. I look forward to seeing this town grow and go. I'm sad that people still say, oh, that's just Marlin, when that should be no longer part of it, and that's still with us. It makes me sad when people come in and try to take advantage of the citizens because it demonstrates their lack of compassion and for our people. And honestly, if they're going to quibble about $1,000 lien that the citizens need to repair a pothole or have clean drinking water, then what kind of employer are they going to be? And let's just cut to the chase. He never disclosed any evidence of economic benefit to this town. He didn't disclose to the buyer. He didn't disclose to the seller. He threw around $500,000, which we don't even know if that was valid. We don't know what the terms of the purchase were. We don't know what kind of business it was or is planned. And we don't know anything about the transaction. So there's no transparency here. Why should the taxpayer, again, we're out of money. We need the revenue. Why should the taxpayer have to bear the burden of somebody coming in who's a legitimate business owner? If it's legitimate, I will tell you, nobody comes in here secretly. You want your business heard of, and you want people excited about your business when you come in here. And if you're doing things behind people's back, that may not be the kind of business the citizens of Marlin need.
Mayor Keefer also stated in his interview with Marlin Pride that he believes that the reason why you're bringing these allegations against him is because you're planning to run for his seat. How do you respond to that?
Well, as I sit here today, I have not made the decision to run. I have not made a decision not to run because I believe that the citizens of Marlin need strong role models and leaders in the position of mayor and members of the city council. And I think that without transparency and without the type of leadership skills and motivation that we need as valid role models, this town is not going to move forward. I think we need to put in somebody who's got an integrity level that cannot be questioned on any aspect. I think I'm totally capable of doing the job, and I'm certainly qualified to do the job, and I don't think my integrity level is questioned at all. I don't own any strike-off properties or any tax sale properties. All real estate transactions I've entered into in this town are been above board, handled by the local title company and transactions, and not handled by some foreign title company that we don't know anything about. But we need strong leadership with an abundance of transparency, because people make these comments all the time, money's missing, this, that, and the other. I don't know that those comments are true, but the fact that people feel that way is significant. They feel like they're not getting enough bang out of their buck with the dollar, and so we need to make sure that the people we put in these places are viable, dependable role models that we can all look up to and respect to do their job. We're not going to agree on everything. Nobody should agree on everything. But that doesn't mean I'm personally attacking him when I make a vote that's not in that he wants to see happen. And I know he called me out because he said I could call him. But we have open meetings laws, and sometimes when you make these calls, no matter how innocent they are, it's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. And I'm very cautious not to put either myself or Mayor Keefer in a violation of an Open Meeting Act. So, I do get my packets. I do go down and do an investigation every single week. The city manager will confirm. I chat with him. A lot of the department heads will say that when necessary, I go chat with them. I'm frequently at City Hall. Do I talk to the mayor about it? No, because this information is coming from City Hall and from our employees and city manager and financial director and whatever else, and should not be the perimeter of the mayor's job. His job is the same as mine, except he gets to sign checks and do all the PR. I disagree with some of his personal comments about me and things I may or may not have said. And honestly, Miss Billie Jean is one of my role models for the city council. She's done nothing but devoted her life to the citizens of Marlin, and I respect her. I'm always going to respect her for taking on a very tough job at the time she took it on, and for doing her very best to help the city of Marlin. So when he made that comment, I was like, ooh, thank you for giving me a nice compliment. About the friend issue, the only thing I can think of is we were asked to nominate members of the board for the county appraisal district, and I wanted Miss Terry on the board. I'm not necessarily a friend with her. I am acquainted with her. But the reason why I thought it was important to include her on the board is not out of friendship, but because we have a board of directors that have been the same gentleman for quite some time. And I believe that we need to get rid of the good old boy system. I think Miss Terry has dedicated her life to helping Marlin and its citizens achieve things that could not be achieved without her. And I think she's a viable candidate. And the other little concern that always bothers me about the county appraisal district is that we all saw when we looked up the information that the mayor's house was valued at $18,000. We all saw, and then has recently for 2019 been pushed up to 91,000 or whatever it's pushed up to. We all saw on the handouts I did the other day that his property located at 1102 Live Oak has a value of $3,000 when it had a previous value of, let me get it right, $30,000. And the previous value was with an abandoned building on it that has been knocked down, which should increase the value of the property. So the property, logically, if you're looking at this. So, one of the things that the mayor said during the budget process was that we were not generating sufficient real estate tax income. And the reason why we're not is because of things like this, where properties are grossly undervalued. And at least with 1102, he purchased the real estate according to their books in 2017, which means that he was mayor at the time he purchased the book. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that that's an overreaching, that's, it might have been an above an arm's length transaction, but it sure doesn't look like it.
So based upon those findings, is that what led you to believe that maybe the mayor was out for financial gain in the sale of the property that had the $1,000 lien?
Well, I think it was appropriate for me to open up the conversation for discussion. And he, since then, in his interview with you yesterday, he unabashedly admitted he was making a gain off this piece of real estate. Well, why didn't he tell us? He should have told us. He should have disclosed this. And the fact that he didn't says a lot about his management style and his integrity level.